Well, today guys, in this video, we're going to be ranking all of Neural DSP's guitar plugins. Let's get on into it. So what is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. My name's Ray, I'm a guitar player here on YouTube, and this question I get quite frequently about what is my favorite Neural DSP plugin, and so why not do a nice little ranking for you guys. Couple things. First off, I'm not going to be able to play anything in real time as I just got operated on yesterday, so about 24 hours ago at the time of filming this video. So I'm not going to be doing any playthroughs with all these plugins. But number two, I have individual videos on all these plugins except one, which I'll talk about it once I get to it in my list. And lastly, if you guys have tried all these plugins or only tried a couple, or you just want to put your 2 cents in this video, in the comments down below, why don't you do your own little ranking, which one you like the best from Neural DSP, which one you like the least, etc, etc. I just love to hear from you guys because it's always fun to learn new things about what certain guitar players like or what they don't like, and it's just a great way for you and I to interact and have a nice little conversation about Neural DSP. Alright, so I got my trusty handy dandy cell phone here with my list, and let's just start this right off with number 6 is the Archetype Abasi. Now, I just have to say, before we go any further, spoiler alert, I guess, if you will, I don't hate any of these plugins. All these plugins are great, man. Like, let's not get it twisted. They're all really, really solid. This is just a matter of personal preference now at this point about which one I like more, which one I like least, if you will, whatever it is. It's just, I like some more than the others, and it just so happens that my least favorite of the 6 is the Archetype Abasi. And the biggest negative for me was just, I said it in the video, the actual demo video that I did with this plugin, it's just a lot of built-up low end that I had to carve out a pretty extensive amount in post or, on the graphic EQ that comes with the plugin. It sounds great, it sounds killer, has awesome leads, but in terms of the rhythm sound, it was just a little too bottom heavy and a little too boomy and bass heavy. But again, you could always tweak and you can always make anything sound good, but I'm just going more specifically off of the presets that came with this plugin suite. But again, if you like the Abasi Archetype and if you like Toasted Abasi, you will not be disappointed, man. This plugin knocks it out of the park. So number 6 is the Abasi suite. Okay, coming in at number 5 is the NTS. Now, I'm actually a little bit surprised with this position of this plugin, because when it first came out, and even up until very recently, before Neural DSP started putting out a ton of plugins at rapid fire, I really, really did like this plugin, and I still do. But the thing that keeps it from being higher up on this list is it's a little too, not as exciting. And I hate that I'm saying that. It's just not as... It just doesn't have an it factor for me to be like, yeah, I like that one a lot more than the other ones. And it's just like, it's a solid rock and roll or metal high gain amplifier plugin, but that's really all it is. And there's a couple others on this list that are a little bit higher, and they have their certain criteria and reasons why they're higher up on this list. But the NTS, man, just has a little bit slow of a noise gate, and it just sounds like a stock rock and metal tone, if that makes any sense. Again, I love it. It sounds really good, and if you love it, by all means, more power to you. And I think Ola Englund actually tracked his solo album that he released last year using the NTS suite. So I mean, it's a great suite, don't get me wrong, but again, it's like picking your favorite kid. It's just, they're all solid, and it just so happens that the NTS has to land here comfortably at number 5. Alright, coming in at number 4, this is the plugin suite that I never did any sort of demo on my channel for it, and that was because I was working with another plugin company at the time, and that is the Archetype Nolly. Now, this plugin suite, in my opinion, does the best overall job, if you will. It has really good cleans, really good leads, really good rhythm tones, but out of those 3 categories, none of them, in my opinion, really stick out as like, oh, that's the best high gain sound, or that's the best clean. It does everything like wholeheartedly. It's a very rounded plugin suite, but it just doesn't have anything that sticks out in comparison to the other plugins from Neural DSP. But at the end of the day, it's just a very solid plugin suite in my opinion, and it doesn't do anything that really makes me want to gravitate towards it more than the other 3 that are remaining on this list. So number 4, Archetype Nolly. Alright, top 3, baby. Number 3 is the Archetype Plini. Now, why this one is so much higher than the other 2 archetypes is because I really dig the clean sound and the ambience in this plugin suite. And then, I'm not really the biggest fan of Plini's music. I think he's a phenomenal guitar player, as is everybody else. But I'm really not too familiar with his specific work, but the things that I do like about his work when I have listened to it is his clean ambient stuff. I love that. I love that when I'm writing for my own stuff with Luna Muerta or for demo tracks, whatever. I love ambience, and I love having that really soundscapey, dreamy type of effect. And in my opinion, the Plini does that the absolute best, especially in the built-in presets. It's really dreamy and soundscapey, and that's why I had to put it at number 3. So coming in at number 3, taking the bronze, is the Archetype Plini. All right, I'm gonna put my phone down. I don't need it anymore. I got the top 2. Make sure I'm not giving away my list. Anyway, top 2 we have between the Powered by Omega Granifier plugin and the first guitar plugin from Neural DSP, and that is the Fortin Nameless Suite. Man, this is really hard for me to pick, and I try not to let, you know, the newer one take over, and I try not to let the first one take over, meaning having any biases, if that's a word, towards one of these plugins. But I have to be honest and have to go with my gut and be true to you guys. Number 2 is the Fortin Nameless Suite. Oh man, it hurts to say, because I have loved this plugin. Out of all the Neural DSP products, this was always my favorite one. And up until very recently, about last week when the Granifier came out, this was always number 1, the Fortin Nameless Suite. The reason why it's so high, it sounds the most unique out of any of the plugin suites that I've heard, not only with Neural DSP, but just plugins in general. It has this huge low end and a lot of high end, and it's kind of scooped in a way, but it just sounds so, oh man, just so evil sounding. It's the best way I could describe it. It sounds nothing like I've ever heard in a plugin. And yeah, it just sounds so good, and that's why I've always loved it. I've always loved to gravitate towards it when I want a unique sound for my tracks, or, you know, for whatever I'm doing on that specific day. I always go to the Nameless Suite, man, because it's the most interesting and unique, and it doesn't sound like anything else. But what's holding it back from number 1 is just it's not that tight. Now, I don't know if this is because it was Neural DSP's first plugin or what it was, but just the noise gate in particular is just a little too slow, and this plugin is a little tough to tame. It's very rowdy, tons of high gain and tons of, like, not shrill, but like I said, just high end crispiness that if it's not tamed properly, it really kind of sticks out. But when a thing is dialed in correctly and firing on all cylinders, oh, the gain structure in the Nameless Suite is amazing, and it's probably the best high gain sound out of any plugin suite that I've ever had. But it's just not as fine-tuned as number 1, which is a nice segue, and that is the Powered by Omega Granifier plugin. Yes, man. Oh man, I'm so glad that this plugin came out and everybody's seemed to be loving it. And it just sounds so tight, man. Like, you don't have to do any sort of post-processing if you don't want to. It's just so easy to record with, man. It's super tight. The gate is super tight on the plugin. And then you got the Earthquaker devices, what's that called? The green and yellow one is escaping my mind right now, but I'll put it down below. Yeah, man, I just love the Powered by Omega Granifier. It sounds just as good, if not better, which I don't know how that's possible, but all kidding aside, it almost sounds as good or better than the actual Granifier and or the old Iridium. Man, it just sounds so good, and I'm so happy for Powered by Omega and Neural DSP to be able to come together and collaborate on this amplifier. Man, it just sounds so perfect, and you best believe I'm going to be using it a lot here in 2020 and going forward. So that has to be my number 1, my favorite plugin from Neural DSP, the Powered by Omega Granifier. So everybody, that's all the guitar plugins from Neural DSP. What do you guys think of my list? Leave your thoughts down below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? And don't forget to put your own list down there so we can have a nice friendly discussion and debate. And lastly, if you're brand new to my channel, you want to consider hitting that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. That would mean a lot to me. I got a lot of cool stuff on here for you guys to check out. And if you want to join my friends here on my YouTube channel, it would mean a lot. So just thank you in advance. As always, a huge shout out to my patrons. I love you guys so much, and a shout out to you watching at home. This was a good one. I'm really glad that I got this video out for you guys. I hope you dug it. Stay metal, and I'll see you guys next time. Later.